Hi, everybody. Come on in and get comfortable. We still have a couple minutes before 4 o'clock, and I think there were 39 people I invited, so we have 13 so far. All right, let's see how we're doing. 24. I'd say that's pretty good. Call that a quorum. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to those of you who are new, and welcome also to those of you who were on the team last year and are planning to continue with the team this year. Let's see. I'm gonna share my other screen. Well, actually, no, I won't do that yet. Okay. So let me just talk a little bit about Science Olympiad itself. So for those of you who are new, and can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay, good. So for those of you who are new or maybe don't remember very well, Science Olympiad is it's a test-based competition on many different topics that teams of two participate in. That's how it's been in the past anyway. Now this year's different, of course, because it's all online. So I don't really know if they're going to be teams of two or not, but I would anticipate that there will be teams of two that take on that each take on one of the topics. And so we have two official competitions. One's the state competition, which has not been scheduled yet, but I would expect it to take place in March or maybe April. And then if we win that, if we get first place in the state, then we would go to the, we'd go on to the national competition, which is in May. So that's getting a little bit farther ahead that we need to be right now, but that's kind of the, those are the two official competitions. Before then, we have a couple things going on. First of all, we have the Harvard Brown Invitational Science Olympiad Tournament, which we would get, I registered for that, I think last week. And so we have been approved to take 2 teams of 15 students each to that tournament. Now, when I say take 2 teams of 15, in the past, that meant we actually went to Harvard and did the competition there. But of course, this year, that's not going to be the case. We're going to be doing it remotely, so we won't go to Harvard. But we'll still have 2 teams of 15. And I think everybody hopefully got my email about that, that you'll, that we have many more students interested than we can fit in those 2 teams of 15. So what I'm asking everybody to do is to write an essay and send it to the email that I put in my note to your parents. So that email, if you don't have it or don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to write this down. I'll actually, you know what? I'll put it in the chat. That way you'll have it. Chat. Okay. So email your essay if you're new. Now this is, so let me back up a second. This is if you're new. So if you're either in 6th grade or you're in 7th or 8th grade, but you have not been on the team in previous years, okay? Then I need an essay from you. If you have already been on the team last year, even if it was the Harvard team and not the state team, if you are already involved, then you're automatically on the team this year, okay? So there are 18 students that applies to, which leaves us with 12 open spots. Okay, so for the rest of you, I'm asking to write an essay, and you should email it to BMS SciOly at Barrington Schools, you know the rest, right? .org. Okay, and in the email that I sent to your parents, you'll see what I want in that essay. Basically, I just want 2 paragraphs, and in the first paragraph, I want you to tell me, you know, why you're interested in Science Olympiad, and what particular events or topics about science interest you. And in the second paragraph, I want you to tell me how you feel science is important in society. So what role does it play in society, and why should we listen to scientists when trying to make decisions about what we're going to do as a either national society or global society even. Okay, so so write those essays. Now, whether or not I choose you as one of the 12 people to go with to go to the Harvard or to participate in the Harvard Invitational, you are still welcome to stay with the team, and I really hope you do, because if you do, you're pretty much guaranteed a spot on next year's Harvard team, assuming that there's going to be a Harvard competition next year, which I think is safe to say there will be. So don't be discouraged if you don't get in this time. Definitely stay involved and stay interested. The other thing is that if you don't make the Harvard team, you're still welcome to participate in the other part of Science Olympiad this year, which is called My SO, or My Science Olympiad. So now let me open that information up. Here we go, and I'm going to put it on my other screen, and then I'll share my other screen with you, so you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Many of you already know this, but I know some don't. So share screen, screen 2, share. Okay. So you should be able to see that on screen now. It says My SO at the top, and it's an information about this program called My Science Olympiad. And so this is a whole series of resources that are designed to keep you guys interested and engaged in the Science Olympiad topics and activities. So you can see it started back in September, and pretty much nobody was ready for it right then, because even our state Science Olympiad didn't tell us that anything was going on until about mid-September. So we didn't really know about this. But now we're in October, and we do know. And so you can see each month is focused on a topic that has to do with Science Olympiad events and themes. All right. So there's one topic per month, and it's leading up to the national competition then in May. So we certainly won't get through all these by the time the state competition rolls around in March or April. We're only going to get through a couple more of these before the Harvard Invitational, which is actually at the end of January. It's on the 31st of January, which is a Sunday. Okay, so we won't get through all the topics, but we'll get through quite a few of them. And this week we'll be doing space. So those of you interested in Reach for the Stars will be interested in this month. So one thing that's really fun and really cool is that if you whether you make the Harvard Invitational team or not, you can still do these STEM showdowns. You can stay involved, learn a lot about how Science Olympiad works, learn more about the topics that you're interested in, and you can also participate in these STEM showdowns. There's no real, necessary registration with a team or anything like that. You can actually do this on an individual basis. The only thing is, and let me get to that information now. Oops, that should be over there. Okay, so the only thing is you just pay a $10 registration fee every time you want to do one of these STEM showdowns. And so, my plan is, I know we're getting started late here in October, but I'm going to talk a little bit today at the end of our session today about the resources that are available in the October MySO, which would lead up to the STEM showdown on the 31st. Now, this doesn't actually say, does it? It doesn't say. It doesn't talk about the $10 registration fee, but I'll go back to the website where it talks about it. But first, let me just tell you a little bit more about the STEM showdown here. Oh, wait a minute, I have a chat. Okay, where'd the chat go? Try that again. Okay, there we go. What do we do with the STEM showdown? Okay, that's an excellent question. I'm going to get to that in a second. So what it is it's an online challenge that tests your knowledge of the monthly STEM topic. So again, for this month in October, it would be space. So those of you, again, interested in the Reach for the Stars event would want to especially get involved in this. So you compete against your peers. In other words, there will be other students from around the country doing the same thing at the same time. And they are tests that are a lot like the ones that you'll actually see in the Science Olympiad tournaments. Okay, so they're good practice. Now, I think a couple of you have already taken a look at some of these, and I know that a couple of your parents emailed me and said, "Oh, my son or daughter really found the test kind of intimidating because he or she didn't know really very many of the answers to the questions." Well, that's okay. In fact, that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to know the answers to these questions. You're supposed to learn as you study and learn more about them, and then hopefully can answer a good number of questions on the test during a tournament. Okay, so all this is really practice. Even the Harvard Invitational is really practice leading up to the state competition in March or April. They haven't scheduled it officially yet, so I don't know when exactly it'll be. But anyway, like I said, even if you don't make even if you're not one of the 12 more who are chosen to do the Harvard Invitational with us, I want you to stay involved and interested, and I want you to get involved in these STEM showdowns. So let's talk about how you would do that. Let's see, I need to go to the website now, which is over here, and MySO, okay. Let's see, should I just take that whole thing over? Yeah, just take that whole thing over here. Okay. So if you go to the MySO website, and this is on the National Science Olympiad site, okay, which is, you can get to it by going to SOINC, which is Science Olympiad Incorporated.org. And then to get to the MySO information, you just do /MySO, or you can find a link to it on the main page, okay? So, so the resources that are available for each month then will be posted here. So you can see September and October, that those months' information is already posted. September, of course, that already took place. Let's see. Okay, so another thing that each of these months has is a practice test. So this practice test will give you very much a you know, a reasonable facsimile. In other words, essentially the same as what you'll see on the test itself. Now, make sure you're doing all Division B when you go through this material, okay? Division B is the middle school division. Division C is the high school division. So we want to make sure we're in Division B for all this stuff, okay? So you can click on the practice test, and we could download that, take a look at that. All right, 20 minutes to complete the test. So this is just, this is what the MySO test itself is going to be a lot like. All right, so you'll see something on there, and I think, again, I think some of you have already looked at this, but you'll see something on there like this. How many total DSOs are there in the image above? Now, first of all, you need to know what a DSO is. Well, a DSO is a deep space object. And secondly, you need to know what area of the sky you're looking at. So you need to kind of, let's see, I'll need to zoom in a bit more. You need to try to recognize a constellation or something else in there that might help you identify where in space you are, okay? So, you know, off the top of your head, you may not be able to recognize a constellation, but there's one right over here on the left-hand side, right here. Does anybody recognize that constellation there? We've got a couple chats. How do we get to the practice test? Okay, so to get to the practice test, you would go to the soinc.org/myso, and then there's a link to the practice test there on that page. Okay, that's what I was showing you on the previous page. Can everybody see my screen? Can you see the image of the stars there? Yes? Okay. All right, good. So, so right here in this part of the image is a recognizable constellation. It's Scorpius, okay? It's one of the zodiac constellations. And it has a bright star in it. I think that's Antares, if I'm not mistaken. And so you would know the area of the sky that you're in. You would know the deep space objects, which are things like faraway stars, other galaxies, as opposed to the Milky Way, which is our galaxy that we live in, nebulae, and things like that. So, so this is a lot about having the right resources on hand. Now, you're not going to be expected to memorize everything, okay? A lot of this is downloading resources and going through them and printing them out, or having them available on your computer to look up really quickly. Printing them out, if you can, printing them out can often be a quicker way to do it, because then you just have everything, you know, spread out in front of you and you're ready to go. Whereas on a computer, everything's gonna, you know, you can only look at one thing at a time, really. So that gives you, you know, some idea of what to expect here. Okay. Some of these, yeah, go ahead. Somebody have a comment? Okay. So some of the later questions are actually easier. What's the name of the star in the leftmost constellation in the image above? Well, that's that Scorpius there, and I'm pretty sure it's Antares is the name of that star. Okay. What's the evolutionary stage of the star? So, you know, you would need to know some information about Antares. You either have to look it up in the materials that you have, or you have to know it off the top of your head. And most likely, because there are lots of stars that you have to know about, you won't have everything memorized. So the other, let's see, back up a little bit. Where was I? Okay. Right, so there's the practice test. So, so, you know, especially if you're interested in Reach for the Stars as one of your events, you definitely want to try to do this. Now, again, don't go into the test thinking, oh no, I don't know. I only know like 10% of what I need to know. That's okay. Don't worry about it at all. This is totally practice, all right? And it only costs $10 to register. So, you know, I don't know if I could come up with funding from the school. I don't really think so, because this is, you know, it's not a mandatory part of the Special Olympiad or Science Olympiad. So I don't think I can get funding for it, but $10 isn't too bad. Hopefully, if your parents won't give it to you, hopefully your big brother or sister would, and you can register for these STEM showdowns. So let me go back to the website that tells you a little bit more about how to register, okay, for these. So the test registration is, the registration is open now, and you buy a $10 ticket to the Division B, which is our division, STEM Showdown. So you register separately for each monthly test, and you obtain a code. So you'll get a code, assuming by email, and it only, you know, again, costs $10. So, you know, if a group of you want to get together and do it all together, that's totally fine. And you could buy, you know, 10 player tickets at once, up to 10 at once. But if you, so, okay, purchase order, we need to purchase at least 20 tests, so I don't think we're going to do that. But let's see, they're open to residents of the United States and intended for a general science audience age 13 to 18. So the ticket window closes 4 days before the test, okay? So the next test is, let's go back to the calendar. So the next test is a week from today. It's on the 29th. Our next meeting will be on the 28th, okay, Wednesday the 28th. So I'm gonna alternate between Wednesday and Thursday, week by week. So this week we're meeting on Thursday, next week we're gonna meet on Wednesday. The week after that we'll meet on Thursday again, and then Wednesday and Thursday, and so on, okay? So, so what that means is that we will have our next meeting, our next Zoom meeting on the 28th. And for those of you who can't make it on Wednesday nights, that's okay, because I'm recording all of our meeting sessions, so you'll be able to watch it later. Yes, you can use printouts in competitions. Thank you, Neil, for answering that question. Yep, you sure can. So last year, the students who were involved in Reach for the Stars, they had binders full of information about astronomy that they were ready to go to use in competitions. Okay, so Neil also is pointing out that there are limits per event. So you mean number of pages you can have, Neil? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, for example, in like anatomy, you can only have one double-sided page, and that's it.
Okay. And
yeah.
as for Reach for the Stars, it's 2 pages double-sided. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So there's. Yep. Go ahead.
Like exam or like final competition.
Sorry, was that Kate? I couldn't quite hear you.
Every like subject like epidemiology, space, and so on included in the final exam or final competition?
Yes, epidemiology will be in there. It's already gone by for the MySO, but it will be in the Harvard competition.
So will everything, all of the subjects?
I'm sorry?
So, like, should I go back and do the epidemiology one too?
Yeah, if you're interested in that, then definitely go and do the practice test and everything. You know, I missed the STEM showdown on it, so we won't be able to do that. But you can do the practice test and get the resources and everything that way. Okay. And so, you know, while we're on the topic of the Harvard competition and the state competition, let me just give you a little bit more of an idea what that looks like. Now, where did it go? Oh, I guess maybe I don't have it open. That's all right. Go to Mini SO. Okay. And bear with me a second. I thought I had it open, but I guess I didn't. There we go. Okay. So on the screen now, let me get rid of this, make it a little bigger. There we go. So on the screen now, you can see the mini Science Olympiad event slate. So I know it's a little bit confusing because all these things kind of sound the same, but the MySO events are just, they're monthly STEM showdowns that, you know, you can choose to participate in on your own. The Harvard event is a team event, so we're going to participate in it as a team, and it's going to follow this format, the mini SO format. So mini SO is just, it's just called that because it's a scaled down version of the original Science Olympiad, which used to have all these building events and all these really hands-on events that, you know, people had to actually be present for and to participate in. So they scaled it back to the events that it's not necessary to be there in person to do them. Okay, so they're all listed here, and the first row up here, these are the Division B events that will be going over. So you can see there that where is it? Disease detectives, Kate, is the one that would correspond to epidemiology. Okay, so that is very much part of the event slate that we can expect from Harvard. If you want a little more information about the Harvard event, that can be found. Again, this isn't an email, but that can be found on their Facebook page. Okay, and you just search for Harvard Undergraduate Science Olympiad, and you'll find the Facebook page there. Now, so far, they have not done a great job at posting much about this. I'm not really sure why. The last post they did was September 28th, but I'm sure that as things get closer, you know, they'll start putting a lot of information on this Facebook page. So as young people, you probably, or well, I won't say probably, you may not have a Facebook account. You probably have something cooler than that, like Instagram or Snapchat or something even newer, TikTok or whatever. But your parents probably have Facebook accounts, so hopefully they can get on and get some more information about it. Okay, so that's so far that's what they've done in terms of posting information. There also this website, and actually that's a couple of our Science Olympiad Olympians from last year at the Harvard Invitational. We got to do that last year right before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hit and we didn't get to do the state competition, in case anybody's wondering what happened last year. We did do this and we did well. We did, you know, very respectable showing, but then we didn't get to do the state competition, unfortunately. So anyway, this is the website for this one is sciolyharvard.org/divb. Okay, so if you just go to sciolyharvard.org, and again, I'll put that in the chat. Go. Oh, I already have it open. Let's see. Okay, so for more info about Harvard event, go to there or their Facebook page. Let's say and or their Facebook page. Okay. So, you know, Sid, when you mentioned that you get only 2 pages front and back for Reach for the Stars, I wonder if that's different this year, because there's no way to really keep track of that, right?
Yeah, might be.
Yeah. So maybe you just get access to basically everything. You know?
I'm pretty sure that on the website, like on each event, I'm pretty sure it says like what you're allowed to bring.
Okay.
I know it said that last year. I'm not sure if they changed that.
Oh, so we might. Well, okay. So my understanding was that that students could participate from home. That's going to be entirely, you know, remote like that. So it would be hard to kind of keep track if somebody decides, well, I'm just going to print out, you know, 80 pages of stuff. It'd be hard to keep track of that. But I'll check into those details as we get closer. So we'll find out what's going on. But anyway, the point is you'll have a lot of information available to you as you're you know, taking these as you're doing the competitions. And of course, during the MySO thing, the MySO STEM showdowns, you can have, you know, whatever you want available. So I just want to make sure everybody understands, okay, that the MySO is something sort of unofficial. It's again, you don't have to be part of a team. You can do it completely on your own. And the competition aspect is really just, where is it now? Ah, there it is. The competition aspect is really just these STEM showdowns. In addition to that, and I'll actually show part of this in a second, they have STEM sessions on the 15th of every month. And really what they are is just, so far anyway, they've just been sort of short videos on people who have taken part in the people who've taken part in the Science Olympiad in the past, and they're sort of describing their experiences. Okay, I'm getting a note saying that my session's going to end in 10 minutes. So let's see. I guess I better hurry up and go to the little PowerPoint here.
A lot of the times, I have a personal meeting thing, and a lot of the times, what we do when the meeting time starts going down, we usually relog. Like we end the meeting, then we start it up again, and that seems to reset the timer.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so we could try that maybe. If we run out, I will try to restart it. Okay, and so if we run out of time and it just, you see a blank screen all of a sudden, just hang tight, stay at your computer for a few minutes, and I'll try to, okay, Xavier, no problem. I'll try to restart it and see if that works. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so this PowerPoint presentation here on the MySO page is a good sort of introduction or overview, I guess you could say, of the stuff you'll have to know, or that, well, not have to know, the stuff that will be on the test, right? So if I want to open this, I'm going to save it, because if you just click on it, I'll just show you what happens. If you click on it and open it, it'll go right to the presentation, I think. Now it's going to make a liar out of me. Yeah, okay, there it goes. So in this mode, I can't see the notes, and it's important, it's essential to see the notes on this, because otherwise a lot of the slides aren't going to make a lot of sense. So if you go to these three dots down here at the bottom, and you go to Show Presenter View, okay, click that, and then on my other screen, so it'll work if you're doing it on one screen. Let's see if I can pull this over. Yeah, there we go. All right. So on my other screen then, I can resize it so that I see the notes over here while I'm seeing the slides, right? So now as I scroll through, I can see the slide, and then I can see the next slide that's coming. So this slide has some notes associated with it, right? And then the next slide probably does too. Version of the slideshow is available as a webinar. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So this slide in particular has lots of different videos on it, all of which there are links to them here in the notes. Okay, so when you're looking at these, you're going to want to do it in this presenter mode, okay, or presenter view, so that you can see the notes. And this is probably going to be your best bet in terms of getting like an introduction to each month's material. All right. So here are some stars, constellations, deep sky objects that you're going to want to know. All right. So for the MySO STEM Showdown, and the ones in italics here are the deep sky objects, the DSOs. So this is just chock full of really useful information. This PowerPoint presentation. And if I were teaching this as a class, if let's say I was a science teacher at your school, I would dedicate probably a whole class period to going over this with you. But I'm going to have to, because we have limited time, and I'm a coach, not a teacher. We're going to have to kind of leave it up to you guys to, really get into this on your own. And feel free to send me any questions you have. Okay. But also check with your parents for help if you're having any trouble, accessing it. But again, feel free to send me any questions you might have. This, if you're not familiar, is the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, which shows the different types of stars that exist in the universe, and also it measures many things: their luminosity, their mass, their temperature, and it also is basically a map of stellar evolution. Okay, when a star comes into being, it goes somewhere, depending on its mass, it ends up somewhere on the main sequence here. Okay, and then depending on how big it is, it will either stay pretty much as it is, or if it's up here, if it's in the blue, the blue super, or, well, they're not supergiants, so the blue giant stage, it has a lot of mass, and it actually ends up burning through its matter in a much shorter time than stars that are farther down in the main sequence. So for example, our sun, which is right in pretty much the middle of the main sequence, is going to live for another about 5 billion years or so before it starts to you know, burn through all its hydrogen and then start fusing helium into carbon. And when it starts to do that, it's going to move off the main sequence into the red giant phase. Okay. So anyway, that's just I don't have time to really go into that in a great detail, but the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, if you're interested in Reach for the Stars, this is something that you're going to need to know very well. Okay. So you want to look up a lot of information on that. There's also classification of galaxies and different types of galaxies, and then getting into the different star. The constellations, and also these other star groups, which are called asterisms, okay, which is a term you may or may not have heard before. But there's star groups like the Summer Triangle. You can see Vega, Deneb, and Altair. Those three bright stars in the southern, or in the summer sky in the northern hemisphere. So again, there's just a lot in this PowerPoint that is going to be useful for you to know, and you can see how many slides there are. I'm not even halfway through it right now. So it goes through essentially what you're going to need to know, or it touches on pretty much everything you're going to need to know in order to answer some of the questions on the test. Okay. Now, no pressure. Okay, there's no pressure at all on this, right? That's the nice thing. I mean, yes, it's $10, but $10 isn't so bad. And so $10 is worth it to just get the practice, right, of answering some of these questions and getting the feel of what it's like to take one of these tests. So, so definitely do that. Now, you know, I'm certainly not going to require that everybody do the STEM challenge, but I highly suggest you do. I think, again, it'll give you really good practice for what it's like to be, you know, in the moment, doing the actual competition at Harvard and then at the state. Okay, what else I want to tell you about? I have about 5 minutes until we conk out here. Okay, other stuff that's on here obviously is the practice test, the showdown rules. You're going to look at these as well. Now, I downloaded them earlier. There's the practice test. Okay, so this is the showdown rules for the for Thursday's competition, and this really goes through in even more detail the stars that you'll want to know, and the stars and the constellations that those stars are in. Okay, it's going to go through your deep sky objects as well. And then, of course, you would skip over this part, the high school part. So be aware of that. There's a high school part and a middle school part. So we're middle school. We want to make sure we're staying with that stuff. The high school stuff is even harder. So we don't need to delve into that. Okay. It gives you other recommendations on resources. So you'll actually be able to use a calculator. And it gives you additional resources, you know, websites to check out. And if you go to the event page, so let's just check that out before we go. Go to the event page. Let's see, where am I? Yeah. So Science Olympiad. And let's see, we want to go to Reach for the Stars. So I'll just type that in the search. Okay. So the first thing there is Reach for the Stars event page. Okay, so this is, again, chock full of a lot of information that you can access at your leisure. But it gives you you know, there's a quiz book here. There's the actual Division B test from that you would have taken in 2020.